Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Caithness Amateur Dram Antiques Society tasting. This evening I'm going to review a whisky that came as part of a Christmas present from my wife. For Christmas she got me membership of the 1818 Society, which has been established by Stannergill Distillery and Castletown MIll, the new distillery at Castletown in Caithness in the northern highlands of Scotland. And this was hand delivered by one of the distillery owners. They're owned by a man and wife, Martin and Claire Murray, and he brought this on the 23rd of December and handed it to my wife. It came in a nice package. You get a badge, which is quite a solid block of Caithness stamp with the Stannergill Distillery logo. Nice logo which highlights the Caithness flagstone, and it wouldn't really fit in a wallet because it's quite a chunky and heavy solid piece of slate or flagstone, and but it would fit in your pocket. And membership of the society gets you an annual visit to the distillery with 4 guests, and first dibs on tastings and releases and events that will be held at the distillery. You also get a pin badge or a brooch, again nice sterling silver with the logo again. And in my pack I got a nice card from the distillery owners, Martin and Claire. Dear Graham, it's got a nice stonescape artwork by Lisa Polson for the 1818 Society. And the card reads, Dear Graham, we're delighted to welcome you to the 1818 Society. You'll receive our very first bottling and free tours with exclusive events. We look forward to seeing you at the mill in 2026. Best wishes, Martin and Claire. You also get a print of the artwork, and this is numbered 194 out of 250, and there's the mill just here, and it's a dicey print, and yeah, it's very nice. And this one's dated 29th of September 2022. Stonescape by Lisa Polson. So, Stannergill Distillery and Castletown Mill. Well, Castletown Mill sits at the heart of a region steeped in heritage. It's located on the northernmost coast of mainland Scotland. Castletown is famous for its flagstone industry. The mill was once part of Castle Hill Estate, developed by James Trail, who lived from 1758 until 1843. He was the Sheriff Depute of Caithness, and he was part of the establishment was developed with his wife, Lady Janet Sinclair, who's the daughter of William Sinclair of Rutter, Earl of Caithness. Trail was a forward-thinking entrepreneur, especially known for building the flagstone trade. And I remember doing a project in Penellan Primary School when I was in Primary 7, and it was on the flagstone industry in Caithness. And we visited the key places in its story. I remember going to Dunnet Beach, and where they had a little railway would run from the flagstone area at Castletown to Dunnet Beach. But the mill back then in the early 1970s was out of bounds to us for safety reasons, and it's great to see it restored. and repurposed by the new owners. So flagstone quarrying in Caithness, I remember from our project we discovered that it had been around since the Neolithic 3800 to 2500 BC period, and it's prized for its durability and split ease. I think now there's two companies, A&D Sutherland and Northstone, who are quarrying Caithness flagstone. In the 19th century, Caithness flagstone gained fame across Britain, and it was used in pavements, buildings, railway stations. The first overseas recorded delivery of Caithness flagstone was in 1793, when the material was used at Boston docks in the USA, and it's still there to this day. Nowadays, Caithness flagstone is mostly used for commercial paving purposes and can be found in prestigious builds like the Scottish Parliament, the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, the University of Glasgow, the Cutty Sark in London, and the Queen Elizabeth II 9/11 Memorial Garden in New York. James Trail was also keen on agricultural improvement, and he recognised that the increased yield alone was not enough without processing capacity. By 1793, he established multiple mills for barley, corn, and lint, and a threshing machine. Then around 1818, he built the original north-south wing of Castletown Mill, complete with a central double kiln, grain stores, hoists, and housing for the miller. Its water wheel was powered by water diverted from the nearby Stannergill burn, using a mill pond and laid channel. For over a century, Castletown Mill ground grain into flour, supporting the estate and local industry. In 1913, Benjamin J. Calder, who lived from 1853 to 1921, then the tenant miller, bought Castletown Mill for £550, and the Calder family kept it running until the 1930s, when financial difficulties and changing times made it hard to sustain. Ownership then passed to William Mackenzie, who removed the kiln floor, firebox, and water wheel, amongst other changes. During World War II, the mill served various purposes for RAF storehouses, sand processor for nearby bases, and more. After the war, it largely lay idle, with only parts used for agricultural storage. However, after 32 years of dereliction, in November 2020, Dunnet Bay Distillers Limited, creators of Rock Rose Gin, Holy Grass Vodka, Mapmaker's Rum, all very, very great spirits, they acquired Castletown Mill with grant support from Historic Environment Scotland and planning approval from Highland Council. The project to conserve and revitalise this Grade B listed building is now complete. They were guided by a thorough conservation statement. Architectural features identified as historically significant have been preserved. Unsound or detrimental elements were sympathetically repaired or replaced, or in the case of the 28 tons of pigeon guano that had built up in the Castletown Mill estate, they've been removed and placed in an underground facility because pigeon guano is toxic. So that is quite a vast undertaking. They're now working with Audrey Young and Alice Calderhill, a Calder family descendant, to ensure the mill's story is told authentically. Alice Calderhill was born in Castletown Mill, and in an interview recorded by Wick Voices shortly after her 94th birthday, she shared some childhood memories, and she tells of some of the families who lived in the mill at different times. You can access Wick Voices on the internet, and there's a vast resource of information. And it's not just about Wick; it's about the wider Caithness history and culture. She explained that she is the last surviving grandchild of mill owner Benji Calder, who the whiskey we're about to taste is from the Saga series, which is in tribute to Ben Calder. She says, I was born in the mill in 1928, and she tells, so the very first view of Caithness I had was the beautiful bay of Dunnet Bay, looking out through the mill windows. She remembers playing hussies in the mill when it was used as a store for the military. And she also gives an insight into the work carried out at the mill and describes its internal layout. She inherited her father's artistic flair, and she went to art school for 5 years, learning to be a potter and a sculptor before going into teaching. She returned to Caithness in 1993 with her husband, and she has her own art studio as part of her home near Castletown. She produced an illustrated booklet about the history of Castletown Mill some years ago, and she's pleased that the mill complex is now being given a new lease of life as part of an ambitious redevelopment by Dunnet Bay Distillers. She says, I'm so pleased that it has now been bought and is being turned into a useful building again. And my father would be very pleased that it's going to be a distillery because he did enjoy a dram. It's always been a very big part of our lives. The place that you were born in does stay in your head, and it is really important part of your personality somehow. And I'm really proud of the fact that I was born in the mill and that my grandfather was the miller. Castletown Mill reopened to the public in autumn 2025, and it's been transformed into a state-of-the-art craft whisky distillery and world-class visitor destination. I had lunch there recently, and it is an outstanding work of art, I think. And I had lunch there, and the lunch was very, very nice. The revitalised space includes guided tours, masterclasses, tastings, and living history workshops. There's a permanent exhibition celebrating the mill's history, the stories of its people, and the making of Stannergill whisky. And there's going to be annual programs of special exhibitions, events, and community-led heritage projects. Every drop of Stannergill whisky will reflect its surroundings. Pure Highland water from Loch of Durran, locally grown barley, and the passion and craft of their team. It will be whisky rooted in place, made with care and honesty, and they have sustainability at their very essence. Draff left over from the mashing process will be given to local farms to use as cattle feed. Pot ale and spent lees left over from the distillation process will be used as fertiliser on the barley grown in the fields surrounding Castletown Mill. They will power Castletown Mill with renewable energy, and they will encourage visitors to use public transport. So, shaped by Caithness itself, fresh Dunnet Bay sea air and pure Highland water, Stannergill whisky will be smooth, mellow, and deeply rooted in local tradition, whilst exploring new flavour possibilities for the future of Caithness whisky. So the whisky we have tonight is Saga 4 Ben Calder's Saga 10-year-old blended whisky at 46.7%. Castletown Mill, a history through whisky series or sagas, utilises a carefully curated blend of grain and single malt whiskies designed to celebrate periods of the mill's rich history and to raise funds for its conservation and revitalisation. It's going to be some years before the distillery actually bottles whiskey, 3 years minimum. I think they're probably going to wait a couple of years more for that before their inaugural release. And for this one, they're using whiskies matured for a minimum of 10 years. And they're going to be creating a series of 10 collectible sagas, each encapsulating a period in the history of this iconic vernacular building. I think they've done 5 so far. So the fourth saga, this one, it uses a symbolic photograph from the history of Castletown Mill, and they have curated an expertly married single malt and grain whiskies to create a blend that pays homage to the moment in time depicted in this image. Their aim with the Saga series is to produce excellent whiskies that they love to drink and which will be accessible to everyone. Once their team agrees on the perfect blend, they remove the amount of liquid required from each cask and allow them to marry together. And once the liquid has been allowed to marry, they slowly dilute it to their bottling strength of 46.7%. It's non-chill filtered and bottled without any added colouring. This 10-year-old, Saga 4, pays tribute to Benjamin Ben Calder, a stoic spirit known locally for his resilience, resourcefulness and quiet wisdom. And it features this studio portrait of Ben Calder in the middle here, and his sisters Isabella and Mary. Ben emigrated to Canada in 1910, serving in the Canadian Army during World War I, hence the uniform. He inherited Castletown Mill in 1921 and returned home to Caithness. And the maple colour of the whisky pays homage to Ben's life in Canada. I don't know the malts or grains that have been used in this intriguing blend. There is certainly some peated and or maritime coastal malts here in. I've had a couple of glasses over the last couple of nights to get my tasty notes in my head. It is an integrity bottle, 46.7%, non-coloured, unchill filtered, and this one is bottle 337 out of a total of 587. So let's see what we have here. It is a little paler in the glass than it looks in the bottle, but it's a nice coppery, straw, goldy. And it's got nice tears, a nice tight line, quite viscous. And I get warm vanilla, toasted oak, a hint of orchard fruit, and sweet malt and sour lemon create an interesting contrast. And behind all that, there's some pleasant herbs. It is distinctively salty and maritime, with a sea breeze-like note. Wet seaweed and beach pebbles. And you do get the sweet and sour notes coming in the shape of lemons, vanilla and honey, all sitting on a savoury undertone, which comes from a peculiar but interesting and appealing mixture of fungi and white chocolate. It's fresh, sea salt, green apples, salty breeze infused with iodine, lemongrass, and a bit of smoked fish sprinkled with lemon. I'm going to try the mouth. Ripe stone fruit, soft peat smoke, and salted caramel. It's got a crisp and clean arrival with a gentle balance of peat, salinity, and citrus notes. A dry, medium mouthful led by a soft oaky note. Rather peaty again. Seaweed and brine. A drop of vanilla custard and a pinch of sea salt. There's also a faint herbal note. Licorice comes to mind. And a touch of fresh lemon juice. Very oily in the mouth, and again salty. Truly salty in an agreeable manner with a hint of lime. And a light pepperiness is soon replaced by smoke and ash. And the finish is long and mellow with a touch of coastal salinity, hints of pepper and spice, with a touch of peat, minerals, vanilla, and lemons. I'm going to try 2 mils of water in this. Actually, a little less. I'm going to put 1 mil in first to see what happens. There's some lovely symmetry going on there. I'd no doubt if I left this for a few minutes, we'd get some lovely Scotch mist, non-chill filtered. Keeps all the best stuff in. In fact, I can start to see Scotch mist appearing already. Wonderful. And with water, I often find when I add water to a dram with peated malt in it, it immediately starts with a whiff of peat. I'm not sure, it reminds me more of Isla rather than the island's peat. Ripe stone fruit, soft peat smoke, and salted caramel. And there's a sugary barley note, followed by limestone and seaweed. There's a hint of fried wolfish or seaweed. Then some vanilla, caramel, and sea salt. And also some lovely lemon freshness. Try the mouth. And it has a light sweetness, grassy, mineral, and salty at the same time. Salted peanuts, lemon zest, delicate soot and vanilla. And at the end, also delicate but perceptible peat and apple baked on a fire. I think the smoke is more noticeable in the finish with water, and you get some sour notes becoming noticeable as well. So, this whisky, much like Ben Calder himself, this whisky is balanced, bold, and not to be underestimated. It's very in tune, well balanced, with a steady, straightforward development and delivery. It's a rich whisky with a gentle smokiness which complements the sweet oak notes. Yes, those maritime notes with that mixture of peat and salinity might not be for everyone, but the maritime flavours which you'd like to have in a coastal highland or island blend are there, and it would taste very well, go very well with the seafood. The aim for Stannergill whisky, which will be crafted in the heart of the Northern Highlands, is to create a coastal single malt inspired by the refined elegance of a classic Speyside spirit, yet enriched by invigorating maritime influences. And each sip will deliver a vibrant orchard fruit and vanilla bouquet layered with honeyed sweetness and subtle spice. And the brisk North Sea air will impart a delicate salinity and mineral freshness to elevate the whisky's complexity and lend a unique coastal character to its long, smooth finish. It'll be born of pure Highland spring water and matured overlooking rugged northern shores. It'll be both robust and approachable, a true embodiment of the Scottish Highlands' untamed beauty and tradition. And I think in crafting the Saga 4 Castletown MIll blend, they have set a wonderful benchmark for what will be an integrity single malt Scotch whisky. Thank you for listening.